For this assignment, we're going to learn a technique called shadow masking, and we're going to draw a portrait of anyone you like, and I think that you'll be happy when we're all done. This is going to look really cool. So shadow masking is a technique where you take all the light values and you make them pure white, and you take all the dark values and you draw them as pure black. So there's not going to be any variation of color. It will just be plain black and plain white. And I want you to use the pen tool. You can use the technical pen or the fountain pen, whichever you like better. But you need to use just the pen tool, and we're working in only black and white. That's important. So I have gone to my web browser and I have found a black and white picture that I'm going to draw from. This is Frida Kahlo. She's a famous artist and I really like her work, and I think that her look is perfect for this assignment. So I have saved this to my photos. So from Sketchbook, I'm going to import this picture into here. From this slidey toolbar at the top, I'm going to slide it over and press this button that looks like a mountain with a plus on it. I'll pick my picture and I'm going to size the picture before I hit done. So I'll fill up my whole canvas. Don't draw it small or you won't be able to get detail into it. So when I've made it as big as I can, I'm going to hit done. And I'm going to make sure to put a new layer that I'm going to draw on top of it. If I try and draw on my picture, I won't be able to fill in the colors and turn off the underneath, and it's going to look weird. So in a new layer with the pen tool, I'm going to squint my eyes and look at the picture. And when you do this, you can kind of see how the light and dark shapes separate out from each other. So I'm going to trace over the dark shapes and then I'm going to fill them in with black. And I'm going to use the paint bucket tool and I will show you how to do that. So the first obvious big shape is her hair. And because we're tracing, I want you to take the time to do a good job. I have to kind of invent the top of her head here because the picture doesn't go all the way to the top, but that's okay. So I don't want to see sloppy work because you get to trace this. So take your time and do a good job. Make sure to get those details. You can see I'm just making it kind of a simplified shape. I'm not trying to catch all those little hairs at the edge there, but I am trying to do a good job of getting this shape. Okay, all right, when that is all traced over, I'm going to turn off my picture underneath and I'm going to go and look at the edges of my shape and make sure that all my lines are closed up. If there's a gap between them, when I go to fill this with the paint bucket tool, it will bleed out and it will fill the whole canvas. So it looks like my lines are good. So I'm going to slide this toolbar over and get this bucket, and then when I tap inside my shape, it should fill it completely in. I like that. That looks good. So tap your bucket again to turn it off. I'll turn my Frida back on, and then I'll go and look for my next dark shape. So the next thing that's pretty obvious are her brows. Frida very famously had this amazing unibrow. Okay. sure that that is closed in, and then I'll fill that with my paint bucket and turn it off. Okay, now you can see that this area under the eyebrow is also pretty dark. So I'm going to grab this shadow here, like that line that I've picked. And the shadow curves up and over her cheekbone, goes into her eye here. You might take a little trial and error to see this here. It curves up around her nose. Okay. This might fill in her whole nose here. But there aren't really any highlights there. Okay. So this catches her eye. Her lash line. Bone there. Okay, I think I've got that whole shape. Let's see if I can fill it in. Nope. Turn this off and we'll see where my gaps are. Okay, so I need to outline underneath her eye here so that doesn't fill in with black. Okay. Oh yeah, it looks a little crazy, but I like it. Okay. Now I probably should have left a highlight in her eye. So, yep, there is a little highlight in her eye. So I'm going to make sure that I circle around that before I fill this in. Okay. Now there's also this line under her eye that I want to catch. looks good for that side though. Okay, now I'll do the other eye. Got this dark line. And a lot like the contour portraits, this is a good technique for seeing what a face actually looks like. I'm going to turn the opacity down on this so I can see her eye a little better. Make sure I'm drawing on this layer again. Because you can see when you do this that an eye is not a perfect almond shape. And the highlight is not always perfectly right in the center of the eye. And the nose is not a little triangle that's above the chin. So this is a cool way to start seeing the face better as well. Okay. So you can see that even though this starts to feel a little bit crazy, you can see what we're doing here. Okay. So I'm going to work on here. Draw that shape. Okay. And I'm going to look for the shadow along her jaw. See if I like those in the finished ones. Okay, now I'm going to look for, oops, I forgot to turn my paint bucket off. I'll look for the shape of her lips. see that there's a little highlight here that I'm going to leave out. And I've left that little highlight around the edge, which makes her lips not be one complete blob of black in the middle. That's looking good. Okay, there's this darker edge on the side of her neck here. Okay, and then I can finish. Finish the shape at the bottom. Oh, I wondered if it would do that. Turn this off and see where I have an edge that isn't going all the way to the edge there. Oh, there it is. See that tiny, nope, I thought that was it. I have to find where that tiny little gap is and fill it in. There we go. Okay. And there is my shadow portrait of Frida Kahlo.